So now when we know like what kind of stressors we have in our life. So let's look at a beautiful analogy called stress bucket, right? So for example, if I say that you have a bucket of 15 liters of water, or 20 liters of water bucket you have, a regular water bucket, right? And you keep pouring the water inside that bucket. So what will happen after certain time? You have a
It will
20
overflow.
it will
It will
overflow.
overflow.
Exactly. It will overflow, right? Similarly, we have different type of stressors in our life, right? Sorry. It can be health, it can be finances, it can be family, anything like friends, social media, politics, job, whatever it is, right? So everybody has their own, stressors in their life. And all of these stressors get into our mind. Our mind is like our brain probably is like a bucket. So now what happens is when we continuously pour these stressors, sometimes, it is our own internal stressors, like, finances or family or health. Sometimes even we may go through some kind of external stressors also, all right? And whatever it is, it will get into our brain. And then at certain point of time, it will start overflowing, right? So that is what we will get into, like some kind of anxiety or depression or mental health problems. So now if you're going back to the same example of the bucket, okay, so you have the 20-liter bucket and you are pouring water inside, but you want to maintain the water level at 15 liters level. Like that means you keep pouring the water, but you don't want that water to overflow, right? So what do? How can we control that, right? We are pouring the water inside the bucket, but we don't want that water to overflow. We want to maintain it at a certain level, like say 15 liters or maybe 17 liters. So how can we do that? Any guesses?
You have to put some absorbers
Some
that will
absorber.
absorb water. That will absorb
Okay.
water, create
Okay.
space.
Very nice. Anything else? I think I'm just looking at the chart window. The exit plan. Yeah. So now, say for example, we are putting a tap here, right? So the tap is what you do is you keep pouring the water from the top. Maybe you open the tap on the side. So what will happen is you will be able to maintain the water level without getting overflow, isn't it? So the tap is nothing but in psychology we call it as a coping mechanism, right? And this coping mechanism is different for different people, right? Again, when you talk about coping mechanisms, there are two types of coping mechanism. One is the positive coping mechanism, and the other one is the negative coping mechanism. Can somebody tell me what is the example of any example of positive coping mechanisms? So when we are taking a lot of stressors inside our mind, be it internal or be it external, we can manage it with some kind of positive coping mechanisms, right? Probably you all would have heard about it, many things, right? So can you tell me one or two examples? What are the positive coping mechanisms?
Doing exercise, laughter.
Yes, exercise. Thank you, Satya. Exercise, laughter, breathing, meditation, all these things are good, right? So some people adopt the negative coping mechanisms. What are the negative coping mechanisms? And this one we mainly we keep hearing in the workplace, right? So many times people say that I'm stressed out, so I have to go for a smoke break, or I'm stressed out, I need to go for a drink, right? All these things, what happens is actually they are all called negative coping mechanisms, right? So people think that okay, by taking alcohol or by taking cigarettes or by taking something, some substance, or sometimes even by shouting at others, people take some kind of coping mechanisms to release them, vent out. But unfortunately what happens is the negative coping mechanisms, instead of helping them, they actually get into the your bucket, stress bucket. So what happens is, for example, you or anybody, right? When they go for alcohol, or when they go for smoke, when they get addicted to it as part of the stress coping mechanism, what happens is their health starts deteriorating, and they probably their financials also will get deteriorated. So again, it adds into your stress bucket only, right? It may give you a very temporary relief, but in the longer run, it will add to your stress bucket. Similarly, like say, for example, somebody says that whenever I'm angry, I shout at the people. That is a coping mechanism, right? But what happens is, maybe by shouting at somebody, you are venting out your frustration and you are venting out your emotions, which is good in one way. But if you do again and again same thing to the same person, probably, then what will happen is your relationships will be ruined, right? Your relationship will be spoiled. So again, it gets into your stress bucket. So we need to understand what is good for us and what is bad for us. And we need to keep our stress within the limits using positive coping mechanisms. Yeah. Is it clear? Can I move on? Oh, now
Yes.
let us look at, is stress bad? What do you think? Do you think the stress is bad or stress is good?
Yeah. Minimal level of stress is good. Huh?
Minimal level of stress is good. Yeah, it depends. Exactly. So we, like for example, if we are not having any stress in our life, probably it will be very monotonous, and we will be like, it will be boring life. But at a, as Satya mentioned, probably there is an optimum level of stress which helps us to move forward in our life. Right? For example, it may lead us to move out of our comfort zone. Right? So, for example, okay, now I can keep, I'm 50 plus, maybe say I'm retired, and I don't have any job. I can keep, sitting in my couch and not doing nothing. Right? But what happens is, you will not be able to enjoy that for a longer time, right? You need to have some kind of stressor. Maybe, okay, why don't you start looking at, creating a new hobby? Or maybe why don't you ignite your old hobbies, right? Which you forgotten during your busy life. Maybe reading a book. It may lead you to out of your comfort zone, right? So that is called the optimum stress. But at the same time, we should not also go for a break point, right? For example, if you take a rubber band, right? So the rubber band size is very small, and if you want to, pack some, something with the rubber band, what you do is you expand it, right? And then you pack it. But if you expand the rubber band too much, what will happen? It will break. So what here we are telling is, any stress to a certain level we need to bring or to lead us to go out of the comfort zone, and which will help us, which is called the eustress, right? In psychology, it is called eustress, whichever helps us, right? And whichever is not helping us, that is called distress, right? So we always need to look at which helps us and which doesn't help. And you look at the, the green dots here. So that is basically the optimum stress. So as long as we are within that limit, we are good. And again, this limit depends on, individual, right? It varies from individual to individual. I cannot say that, okay, this is my stress level, this is my limit, that's what for me. But maybe somebody else can cope up with a bigger limit, or somebody else may be able to cope up with a lesser limit. So individually, you may already know what is your limit and how long you can stretch. Yeah. All right. So now let us look at what is the impact of stress on individuals. Right. So let me ask you this, right? So do you think that it will impact our physical life?
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
any idea in which way? What happens when you get stressed out physiologically?
You won't have the motivation to move around. you will be,
probably that comes as a behavioral or emotional type, right? But in terms of
correct. Yeah.
physiologically, it may lead to blood pressure, diabetes, right? As people are mentioning here. So we may get into dry mouth, increased sweating, and people complain about repeated headaches and breath and heart rate increases. All these things happen, right? And similarly, if you look at some kind of behavioral, right? So what could be the behavioral changes which happen in us if we stressed out?
You shout at others, you
Yes,
become restless.
exactly. Overreacting, right? And aggressive, we become aggressive, as you mentioned, and probably it may lead to lack of sleep and sometimes addiction. And in terms of cognitive, the cognitive means it is basically, how stress impacts our thinking patterns. Will we be able to make the right decisions? Will we be able to concentrate on anything? No, right? When we are stressed out, probably we get into some kind of lack of focus, and we will not be able to take the decisions in a proper manner. People may keep thinking about something else and absence of mind, right? All those things happen. And in emotionally, as already some of you mentioned, people get irritated, impatient, feeling sad for no reason, right? And then reduced interest in their day-to-day activities. All these things happen. So if you look at it, the stress impacts all dimensions of our life, and be it physical, behavioral, cognitive, or emotional. Okay? So now understanding that, okay, it impacts our life. So then how do we address this? Right? What are the coping strategies? Right? So here again, we can talk about 4 A's. Right? So we need to avoid some things, we need to alter some things, we need to accept some things, and we need to adapt some things. Okay. So these are all the coping strategies. Anybody would like to answer? I mean, anybody would like to say, what one of the examples, some of the examples for avoid or alter or accept or adapt? Anyone? What we can avoid? Okay, some answers are there in the chat window. Don't act. Yeah, maybe don't react. Right? Don't react. Yeah. And then, so don't rush the things. Right. And then probably sometimes, gossips are some people we need to avoid who drain us. Right. And then saying yes to everything. Maybe, we are all used to say yes to everything, and which overloads, us. Right. But probably after certain age, we don't want to impress anybody. We want to improve ourselves. Right. So we don't need to say yes to everything. Right. And similarly, some people skip the meals and all, which we should avoid. And in terms of altering, probably we need to look at the lifestyle habits which do not help us. It can be addiction, it can be smoking, whatever it is, right? And then probably we also need to look at how we can change our thought process. I will come to that. And again, we don't need to rush, after 50 plus. So probably we need to schedule based on our needs, based on our availabilities, and altering situations which are in our control. We will look into that. Similarly, in terms of accepting, probably, yeah, we can accept the feedback, or accept some situations which are not in our control, right? Probably somebody who is very close, to us, maybe a friend, maybe passed away. No, so those things, we don't have any control, right? So at that point of time, yes, we all feel bad, we all feel sad about that, but probably we need to accept that situation and move forward, right? And similarly, forgiving others and all those things, and then adapting the new lifestyles, are adopting new ways to work. For example, many times, when I talk to the people, they say that, no, I don't know how to use technology, right? I don't know how to use WhatsApp. I don't know how to use emails. But then what happens is, their kids or grandkids, they're all settled in abroad, and they don't have any mechanism to talk to these people, right? Yeah, of course the phones and all are there, but unless people adapt to these kind of WhatsApp or kind of things, they will not be able to get in touch with the people. So they need to adapt to the new ways, whichever helps them. Again, it's not that everything they need to adapt, right? So these are some of the things which we need to look at it. Of course we discuss in detail, but if you keenly look at it, there are two types of coping strategies here. One is, we call it as a behavioral stress busters, and the other one is called cognitive stress busters. Okay, so we will discuss more about it. Just let me check, what is the time now. Okay, we are at 6:30, right? Sorry, 7:30. So what we will do is, we will try to cover the behavioral stress busters first, and then if the time is there, we will cover the cognitive stress busters. Otherwise, I will schedule another session, because in my view, the cognitive stress busters are more important to cope up with our stress. The behavioral stress busters are also very important, but more than behavioral stress busters, cognitive stress busters are more important, and probably we need to focus more there. Okay? So let's look at whatever we can cover today. Right? So in terms of behavioral stress busters, these probably, most of us might be aware of these things, right? You would have heard it in from your friends or colleagues or family, or maybe you also would have read it in some books or internet. A lot of things. Whenever you say, okay, how I can manage my stress, you go to internet, Google search, you get a lot of things, right? Like develop some hobby, or do a meditation, or do a deep breathing. And some people say that probably you need to manage your time properly, right? Yeah, your screen is not changing, it shows coping strategies screen. Oh, are you able to see slide number 9, stress management behavioral tips? That is the slide I am now. Oh, okay. So let me. Now we are on slide number 7. Yeah. Okay. So just help me understand if we are going to the next slide or not. Yeah. Are you able to see the behavioral stress buster screen now?
No, Vijay, it shows only the 7th slide. The
Okay,
to adapt thing is there. Even that is
okay.
empty.
Okay. So let me just unshare and share it again. Stop my sharing and.
Now it shows okay.
Okay.
Behavioral
Thank you.
stress busters.
Thank you so much. I think by mistake I clicked the pass. Okay. So now let us look at what are the behavioral stress busters. So these are the things many people would have told you, or probably you would have read it in a lot of books, or Google search, or whatever it is, right? Everybody says that you need to manage your time properly, right? And then you need to be organized, and set the realistic goals, and then spend time with your family and friends, eat healthy food, practice meditation, develop a hobby, sleep well, take breaks. All these things, are very good, right? But only one catch is there, right? Why these strategies are not effective? Can anyone tell me why these strategies are not effective? Many people do one mistake while adopting these behavioral techniques. These behavioral techniques are not like tablets. Like, say, for example, if I get a headache, I take Sarida. If I get fever, I take paracetamol, metacin, whatever it is, Dole, and that will reduce. But unfortunately, these strategies, if you want to adopt when you are stressed out, it will not work because you are not used to do. For example, I want to reduce my stress using deep breathing techniques, right? So I cannot start doing the deep breathing when I am stressed out because I'm already stressed out and my body and mind will not cooperate with me. Similarly, if I want to do a meditation and I'm doing it for the first time, obviously, I will be going here and there. Even though I'm closing my eyes, my mind will not be in a focused manner. And similarly, I want to play flute. Unless you know flute, you cannot start playing flute at that point of time. So one of the, catch here is it needs to be, continuously practice to make the difference, right? So don't think that, okay, whenever I get stressed out, I will meditate. That doesn't work if you are not doing the meditation on a daily basis. Similarly, I want to develop a hobby that will reduce my stress. That will not work because you need to start doing that hobby or learning the new thing when you are in a right frame of mind. Similarly, when you are in a right frame of mind, start using breathing techniques. When you are in the right frame of mind, start doing meditation so that you will get used to it. And whenever you get stressed out, you can use this to reduce your stress, to make your mind calm. That is very, very important. Yes, it should be part of your lifestyle. But many times what happens is people say that, see, there is a lot of books available, there is a lot of literature available. Everybody says that, do meditation to reduce our stress, but it is not working for me. It will not work for you because you are not practicing it and you want to do it and you want to take it as a medicine. This is not the kind of that, right? So that is the reason why whenever you want to adopt any behavioral techniques, what we need to do is first we need to start adapting it in our life and we need to start practicing it and then use it whenever we get stressed out. So these are like some of the behavioral techniques. Right, so what I want to do is I want you to do a small practice activity. If you're all okay, it just takes 2 minutes. It is called box breathing. Yeah. So what I will do is I will share one video. Yeah. Are you able to see the screen? Square breathing meditation.
Yes.
Okay. So just let me know if you are able to hear the sound also.
To practice square breathing.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Sound is coming.
Yeah. So I will just play it and just do the deep breathing. Along with this video. Yeah. Whatever is there in the instructions.
Settle comfortably in a chair. Place both feet on the ground and your hands on your abdomen to feel the movement of your breath. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Close your eyes if you're comfortable to do so, and follow my voice. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4.
Whenever you're comfortable, you can open your eyes. Okay. Can we move on? Yeah, it can be through breathing, can be through nostrils. And generally, what people recommend is you can breathe in through nostril and breathe out through mouth. But if you cannot do, you can do it using your nostrils. Okay, can we move on? We're all back. Now, how did you feel with the box breathing?
Yeah, it's gentle and comfortable.
Yeah, thank you. So there are, benefits from this deep breathing, box breathing. It's basically, what we do in the box breathing is we breathe in for like say 3 or 4 seconds, then hold it for 3 or 4 seconds, breathe out for 3 or 4 seconds. Same thing. Whatever seconds you use, right? Whatever the time limit, that is same for breathing and breathe out and holding. So that is, we just need to do it for 3 or 4 times. So it regulates our breath and it increases oxygen to lungs and reduces blood pressure and lowers our heart rate. Those are the physiological benefits. And in terms of psychological benefits, it regulates your stress, anxiety, improves mood and emotions. But only thing, as I mentioned, that please start doing it in your regular day-to-day life. Don't wait till you get stressed out for this, right? So that is the catch here. Okay, so that is one of the technique. And then we will move on to the 5G technique. Yeah, so we are at 1942. So because I am also mindful of your time, because if I start telling about the cognitive behavioral tips, it will take another at least 30 to 40 minutes. So what I would say is maybe okay, yeah, sure. I will show the previous screen. So what I would do is I will complete the behavioral strategies and I will wind up here, and then I will schedule a separate section for cognitive, which is very, very important and more powerful, because the way we think, if we can change that, definitely our stress levels also will be changed. Yeah. So is it okay, sir? Can I move on? Whoever asked for the previous slide. Okay, thank you kindly. So I mean, you don't need to. I mean, if you want, you can take a screenshot. But actually, I will be providing the recording also, so not an issue. So right. Unfortunately, we missed, I think, 10 minutes. I forgot to record. Sorry for that. So the 5G technique. What is the 5G technique? Right. So as per the research, right, we need to do these things, especially when we are after 50, to make us happy in our life. Right. So what is go? Right? Go and explore the world and the purpose and be creative. So what it means is, maybe like, when I say 50, probably, if we can say like after the retirement life, we have more time and we also get into this kind of emptiness syndrome. We don't know what to do. So probably we need to, start looking into, okay, how we can help the, I know what kind of purpose I have in my life, right? And how I can be creative, and what I used to be doing in my childhood, can I do it again, right? Because in our childhood, most of the people are very creative, right? And we have a lot of passion, we have a lot of hobbies. So why can't we, rekindle it, right? Because of our day-to-day life, day-to-day busy life, we would have forgotten a lot of things to do. So now, why don't we do it? If somebody is very good in art, or somebody is good at music, now why don't we start looking at it again? Depending on your situation, whether you want to make it as a for a financial gain, or whether you want to just make it for your own happiness, right? Depending on your situation, you can start doing that. And very very important thing is you need to get busy, right? Otherwise, what will happen is our neurons, our brain works in either you work or it will be dead, right? So that is how it works. And I have my own example of my father, and he was very active. He was a headmaster, and he was like very active mentally, because he used to revise his subject and all those things, right? And physically also he was active. But after retirement, what happened is, he had a lot of time. He used to do physical activity because we have some farms. He used to go on walk, go by walk. Physically, he was fit. But then what happened is he stopped using his brain, because maximum he used to read newspaper for half an hour. After that, there was no brain activity at all. So what happens is, slowly it got deteriorated and he got into Parkinson's. So because when the brain is not working, our neurons also stop working, and they won't fire. And so that is the reason why we need to keep ourselves busy. We need to keep a routine for ourselves. We need to go for health habits, right? That is very very important. And this is the time where we can serve society, contribute to society. It can be anything, right? It need not be in forms of money. It need not be in the form of giving big things to the people, right? Nowadays, what I am hearing is a lot of old age homes, right? They all are eagerly looking to meet somebody, right, who can talk to them, who can spend time with them. They don't need money. It's all they need, somebody to come and engage them, right, in some form of discussion. So probably, if you have any old age home near you, probably you can go and see, or maybe you can go to an orphanage and teach or mentor kids, whatever it is. Again, depending on your financial status, health status, everything, you need to do that. And give space to others. This is very very important. See, many times what happens is we are brought up in a one way, and probably our next generation, our kids, right, they are brought up in a different way, and maybe their kids, that means our grandkids, they are being born and brought up in a different way. Now, if we expect that they have to behave like us, our generation, that may not work, right? So we need to understand that and give them that space, right, so that they will be comfortable. But if we start putting restrictions, saying that, because nowadays, if you look at the Gen Z, or the new generation, they are all digital citizens. That means they are born and brought up with the digital devices. You can't say that, why are you wasting your time in digital devices? In our childhood, we never used digital devices. Yes, because we didn't have that. So we never had a chance to use. But now they are born and brought up. So we need to understand the difference and probably give them the space. At the same time, give them the guidance, right? How they can channelize the digital devices into a better manner, right? So, and then grow. This is again like, the continuous improvement and better version of ourselves. How I can become better. So, like, how I can, get rid of my ego, or how I can, be better in whatever life, we can always, there is a scope for improvement. Maybe we can develop a new passion, develop a new hobby, right, whatever it is. And then more important thing is be grateful for what we have, and probably this we will see it in the next session. One activity is there. And similarly, forgive others, right? See, because again, we may come across a lot of people. Some people might have hurt us, and some people we might have hurt them, right? So maybe, just get rid of the ego and say hi, hello, maybe, long lost friend, right? Probably with small or big, issue, we stop talking to the person. But then, just start talking to them, because tomorrow, when you actually want to talk to the person may not be available, right? So at that point of time, we will feel very regret, right? So instead of that, let's just get rid of our ego and okay, fine, I have my friend. Whatever happened is happened. Let's say hello, hi, hello, right? So these are like 5 Gs to make us happy, right? And we have one more very important thing, HWC, right? Can anyone guess what is HWC? Can you guess now? What are the major stress factors after 50? Anyone can guess?
C stands for calories, W for weight,
Okay, that's a good guess.
H for
Okay,
health,
yeah. So
hurry, worry.
basically, hurry, worry, curry, right? So we should avoid these 3 things definitely, so that our stress levels will be maintained in a normal manner, right? So we should avoid hurry for whatever reason. And definitely, I know avoiding worry is not so easy, but again, using positive coping mechanisms, using understanding, we can avoid the worry. And curry, basically, avoid the spicy food kind of thing, which is not good for our digestive system. Yeah. So this is another stress factor for the 50 plus years. And this is my last slide in the behavioral techniques. So what is dose? Actually, as I said, our brain has a lot of neurochemicals, right? So if we can trigger some of these chemicals, we will get happiness, right? So what are those chemicals? Are basically dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. This is called DOSE, right? So dopamine is basically, it's called a reward chemical, right? So whenever we complete a small task, we will feel happy, right? So for example, today I just went and cleaned my bookshelf. Oh, I did this. I get some kind of dopamine kick, right? Similarly, I take care of my self-care activities, or probably eating the food which I like. Again, if it is not too fatty or something like that, probably. So whenever we do something which we love to do, we get dopamine kick, right? So we need to start looking at, okay, what gives us happiness, and do those activities. And oxytocin is basically a love hormone. And you can trigger the oxytocin by, if you have pets. Pets are known to be, very good for giving you this kind of oxytocin dose. You can play with the pet, or you can play with the small babies, right? If you look at the small babies, automatically a smile comes onto our face, right? And then maybe helping somebody, or hugging your family members, or giving recognition to somebody else. These are the oxytocin, which makes us feel happier. Yeah. And in terms of serotonin, this is a mood stabilizer. So basically, whenever our mood is not good, probably we can do these kind of activities, like meditation, or maybe running, or vitamin D, like sun exposure, right? And walking in the nature. These kind of things will immediately change our mood. And the last one is endorphin. It is basically the painkiller. So whenever you are stressed out after doing a long exercise or something like that, probably the laughter exercise can help you. Or aromatherapy using essential oils can help you. Or some looking at a comedy movie, or a comedy film, or a comedy serial helps you, right? So these 4 things, these 4 neurochemicals in our brain gives us happiness. So we need to understand how we can trigger these neurochemicals. Yeah. So this is another way how we can be happy. Is it clear?
Yep.
Yeah. So now, we have just 5 more minutes. So I will wind up here. And if you have any questions, I will take it up. And then, I will again set up another session, probably not in the next week is the Diwali, weekend. So I don't want to do that because everybody is busy, I know. So probably we will do it after Diwali, either on 10th or 17th. Is it okay? This time is okay, or you want me to set it up a little earlier?
This is okay for me.
Thank you. Because earlier, I used to set it up at 11 to 12. But again, few people used to join that time. But, if you're okay, we can continue in the same slot. Thank you. Thank you. So what we will do is, but please don't miss the cognitive, session, which is going to happen after week, right? Because that will really give you a, what we call idea how we can change our thoughts, how we can reframe our thoughts, right? So that is very, very important. So please try to attend that section. Yeah. So any questions? I can take it up. We have another, 4-5 minutes.
I have one question.
Sure.
Yeah, actually, if we try to reduce worry, then also it's not possible.
Yeah.
Like, it's continuously, and it's not about yourself, but like for the family and for the children. It always there somewhere in the mind. And though you are doing finding out some time for your exercise or something like that, or for yourself, then also like that continuously that worry is there. So like what will be the solution for that?
Sure.
Like how to reduce that stress?
Yes, that's a very good question. And actually, that I'm going to cover it in the next session, but I will give you a very brief answer, for your question. So basically, whatever you are telling, the people, we keep worrying about a lot of things, ourselves, our family, a lot of things, right? So we get into something called worry loop, right? We keep thinking about the same thing again and again and again. And there are certain techniques which we can apply to come out of that loop, so that rationally we will start thinking about those things. Like, for example, I'll quickly show you what is there, right? Yeah. So this is what, generally happens to us. This is like, worry loop. So to address this, actually, we have some techniques called, reverse counting, grounding, and journaling. So which I will be covering it in the next session. Or if you want, you can also go and search it in the Google or whatever it is, you can find it out. But I'll definitely cover this in the next session.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. So if we don't have any questions, then probably I'll wind it up here. And thank you so much for joining the session. And we'll see you in the next session.
Thank you,
Thank
Vishal.
you. Thank you. Thank you.